بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا الذي ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا بفضلك علما. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The state of the world economy has continued to be uncertain with an ongoing financial crisis in Europe and America, and regional political transition in the Arab world. These realities make labor policies and youth employment even more pertinent and pressing in 2012. Last year, I spoke at this forum about the unique labor conditions in the kingdom and presented 10 core principles I called the new paradigm for employment. And today, I will share highlights of our new initiatives and labor, to address our labor challenges with creativity and transparency, hopefully. Let me check this. Where is this one here? Yeah, here I am. Our chief challenge continues to be the creation of job opportunities for Saudi nationals in the private sector. We need to create 3 million jobs by 2015 and 6 million by 2030. Our interventions, therefore, have simultaneously addressed these three areas: job demand, job supply, and market clearance. Our job demand initiatives need to have both short and long-term horizon. First, we are to focus on increasing demand for Saudi nationals by substituting some of the 8 million expatriates in high-quality jobs in the kingdom. In the longer term, the kingdom needs larger-scale initiatives, and we will face the challenges of executing multi-year plans with benefits in the long term. Job supply is our second challenge. We initiate improved delivery of vocational training. In most countries, the majority of students qualify for practical, technical, and administrative jobs. The OECD average is 45%, but in the kingdom, only 9% of an age cohort will graduate with a vocational degree. Our third challenge is to improve market clearance mechanisms and redesign the process of job seekers filling available jobs. Our objective is for Saudi nationals to become the first choice of employers. Job seekers must be able to possess the necessary skills, hence providing more relevant value to private sector employers. The Ministry of Labor is developing a mutually reinforcing system of career counseling, training, and capability building, coupled with support to find the right match between employers and job seekers. The Ministry will also provide new financial and other incentive programs for both employers and job seekers. Over the past 12 months, we have been building a host of fresh initiatives addressing these three dimensions. Some have been launched, others are in the piloting or conceptual stage. Let me give you a snapshot of the initiatives we are currently engaged in. The Hafiz program is a support program for job seekers. It provides job search support, job matching, and basic training for more than 1 million young job seekers. It also provides unemployment benefits in the amount of Saudi Riyal 2,000 per month for a maximum of 1 full year for nearly 750,000 Saudis while they are seeking employment. Our vision for Hafiz going forward is to host integrated services for job seekers, job counseling, training, and matchmaking with employers, all complementing each other. We are developing a comprehensive database of 66 key player market indicators. This dashboard initiative is known as the Labor Market Observatory. It will help us track and understand labor market statistics, performance and outcomes, and it will be a key tool for fact-based decision-making for both researchers as well as policymakers. Our Saudization initiative is known as Nitakat, a classification and ranking system by market sector and company size of private sector employment of Saudi nationals, and I will detail this later. Istiqdam is the initiative aimed towards providing the right expatriate workforce to the private sector through labor recruitment and reassignment companies. This will give employers access to flexible and/or project-based labor. Public-private partnerships will encourage vocational education suppliers into partnerships that may be employer-led or specialization-led. And this initiative aims to increase the current capacity from approximately only 10,000 students to a total of more than 200,000 over the next decade. Our aim is to reinvent TVTC and widen the range of PPP models of delivery. Small and medium-sized business reforms are underway, and we have identified 38 specific initiatives to stimulate entrepreneurship and growth within SME businesses, and these will be launched in the near future. Job placement centers have been set up to register and counsel job seekers, address gaps in their capabilities, and match them to vacant positions, and we will encourage many more public-private partnerships into this role. Our internet-based virtual labor market includes automated job search engines and is now accessible to everyone in the with internet access. We are making online training available in the e-learning modules for job seekers to be used as needed. And the Kingdom's labor inspection system must assure compliance with regulations and reinforce transparency, and the Ministry is working in collaboration with the ILO to ensure that our labor inspections are in line with international labor standards. I would like to detail one of our major initiatives to their contribution to the Kingdom's paradigm shift in employment dynamics. Nitakat was introduced several months ago and have been very widely discussed in the public. This initiative uses a more fact-based and differentiated approach to set quotas for employing Saudi nationals. Previously, all businesses faced a blanket Saudization quota of 30% with some exceptions for certain sectors. Under the new Nitakat program, companies are ranked within their peer group of companies in each categories, and companies are graded into 230 categories of quotas based on their industry, market activity, and size. Within each group, companies are ranked based on actual Saudization achieved, and the top 50% of better performing companies are marked green or silver. The bottom 20% performing companies are marked red. The Nitakat system uses a carrot and stick approach. For example, silver companies can easily hire additional expatriates from abroad and also can hire from companies rated yellow or red without the consent of their employers. If companies lag behind the industry average of their peers, the Ministry makes it more and more difficult for these companies to obtain additional work visas and or to renew their working permits. In the past, we deployed uniform quotas across business sectors, more or less arbitrarily. Companies rightfully argued that they needed to be treated differently if they were larger or smaller, or if their specific activity was not attractive to Saudi workers. The new Nitakat system only compares companies to their peers of the same size and the same economic activity, and based on actual Saudization rates achieved. The excuse that my business is different is therefore no longer valid. If other businesses in your situation can do it, you can do it too. For the future, as we move forward, we must aim to make the Saudi labor market a more responsive and intelligent system in 3 ways. We must improve the quality of Saudi employment. We don't want companies to only make their quotas. We want more Saudi nationals to develop and grow into leadership positions in their companies. We will move beyond only counting the total Saudi staff and measure the true quality of employment by evaluating the overall wage bill of Saudis within each business and their contribution to the overall achievements of their organizations. We must improve quality of expatriate employment. We are evaluating the use of Nitakat to assess the skills and qualification of expatriate workforce and raise the quality of guest workers. And we can transform Nitakat into a more targeted system similar to Canada and Australia by becoming more tailored and differentiated. Our labor policy objectives can be more productive, availing more opportunities in occupations that are most promising for Saudi nationals. As we cross barriers and we find our stride, we become more conscious of lessons learned. Private sector leadership is essential to quickly adapt to changing requirements and get up to speed faster in training delivery, job placement centers, or even the payment of unemployment benefits. Our ministry will increasingly rely on private-public partnerships, encourage creative incentive systems and regulations to increase competition between providers, and set up performance-based systems and targets with clear KPIs. A coherent strategic framework is vital to integrate all programs and projects. Our initiatives may fail if they are developed and deployed in isolation. Program integration and consolidation needs to happen on an organizational, policy, and operational level, and we are launching many projects in parallel. On the operation front, our aspiration is to transform the Human Resources Development Fund into the Kingdom's labor agency, providing a one-step shop for all job seeker needs. Our policies need to be aligned to provide coherent incentives and remain adaptive, responsive to feedback, dynamic, and fact-based. Our operations require new processes that break through the silos of individual government entities. Technology will also allow us to quickly learn from the experience of others and leapfrog ahead. We came late into the technology game, but we are committed to innovating. Saudi job seekers can already sign up to government services via phone, SMS, and most interactions can be managed online. As a summary of our ministry's experience since last year, we know that changing the paradigm of labor market governance is a complex and a difficult task. We will need to build a new culture of service to our clients, the employers, the job seekers, the guest workers, and the society at large. We will become more responsive through these initiatives. We have just started our journey. We invite you to share and help us learn as we advance on that journey. With your help, I hope to report more progress and positive impact next year in this complex but vital area of public service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. How many of you were able to follow just about every initiative that was outlined here in the presentation? It is breathtaking in terms of its scope and its comprehensiveness. 66 metrics, 37 initiatives, 40 programs in the context of a reinvention, a transformation delivered with an entirely new culture of service. And this is just from one ministry. Now, I don't mean to be cynical. I will be a little skeptical, however. I've been here for several days, and I've been here for several visits. And over the last several days, as I've had the opportunity to interact with several other officials and also with many of the participants in the Global Competitiveness Forum, I have heard about at least 3 or 4 entrepreneurship job creation initiatives in the kingdom for each 3 people in the room. How can you possibly not only coordinate the public-private sector issues that we are talking about here, but more importantly, across all of the government ministries, how are you going to ensure that 1 + 1 + 1 equals more than 3 versus 0?
Thank you. Well, this is a very important question. And actually, one of the things that I'm happy that we have started doing lately is that with my colleagues, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Social Affairs, and the Minister of Commerce and Industry, we have already agreed that we will be, and more recently with the Ministry of Economy and Planning, we have agreed that we will have a joint team that will be reviewing all our efforts together, and that we will have a steering board that will be coordinating the activities among that are sponsored by the various ministries. I know that with Fakeih is coordinating an initiative with the Inter-ministerial Fund as well to launch the Entrepreneurship portal, and we agreed with them as well that we'll be coordinating that this portal will be the hub on which all of us, the different ministries and different agencies, will be committed to use the same portal to integrate all of our activities, and we'll be present in one location. So whether it's all stakeholders, whether they are entrepreneurs or lenders or mentors or policymakers, will be using one virtual space through which we'll be communicating and monitoring and tracking all of the activities. This is the first point. The first point, or the first step actually, is to ensure that information is shared, that we all are reading from the same page, literally, and once that happens, then we can as well create this joint task forces and teams that will be working together and coordinating their efforts together. it's not bad actually that we continue to have some form of divergence and some form of varieties in approaches, but only in the early stages of developing an idea. But we cannot continue having this open, non-convergent style for a long time if we want to start executing and delivering. And I think this is something that we all now believe, the various ministries in the government, that we have to move to that mode, and we've started already. I hope that we can prove to you that your skepticism next year is not valid.
I look forward to coming back and seeing that. Certainly the opportunities that are coming with a shared technology platform and the opportunities that come from agreements of the ministers to coordinate their activities will go a long way in being able to advance a very ambitious agenda that you have before you. We're lucky enough to end up this day to have a significant amount of time for the audience to engage in questioning this afternoon. You've been very patient and you've been wonderful in sitting here for the entire day. Now what we want to do is give you the opportunity to engage directly with His Excellency. We'll have folks coming out with microphones in the corners of the room. I will, even though John Quelch is not moderating this panel, I will go with John Quelch's rules, that a question is generally no longer than a sentence and ends with a question mark. Okay? They're generally not longer than a sentence and ends with a question mark. So do we have people in the room who've got questions? Okay, why don't we start over here in the front if we can get a microphone? Hold on a second. He's coming right over. Yes, sir.
My name is Haytham Al-Tayyif. My question to you is, how did you manage to transform the ministry into a strategic focused organization?
Well, I'd like to think that we have started doing that transformation. I would not claim that we have transformed our ministry yet to a strategy focused organization. We have started actually walking along that road, and the key driver to achieving what we've achieved so far, and which I hope will help us achieve that target of becoming strategy focused, is engagement. We are co-authoring our strategy and doing it together with all stakeholders, not only our colleagues that are operating in the ministry and the sister organizations, but are involving all other stakeholders in the business community, in the job seeker communities, in the workers community generally, and all those who are interested. We have conducted over 40 workshops formally, and many more tens of workshops and meetings to make sure that all those who are interested are participating in evaluating, reviewing, and validating our process forward. We are, of course, using a variety of communication methods to ensure that this language is shared with all those who are involved in implementing, and we hope we can claim, let's say, in a year's time that, yes, we are becoming a strategy-focused organization. Thank you.
That's great. Yes, question back there with microphone number 2.
Yes, hi. My name is Fawaz Al-Otaibi. I have a question regarding the Nitakat system. The Ministry of Labor was very aggressive in implementing the system. Don't you think that will instigate a jobs war between different companies in the same field, such as large companies who can afford to attract the good employees while the smaller ones wouldn't be able to? Thank you.
Yeah. I would not like to call it a war, but I think there will be a degree of competition and a degree of mobility that I'm happy with, actually. And I don't want to shy away from the fact that this is happening, and I hope that more of the same will happen even. In terms of fairness, the whole idea is about that we are not actually, We are not requesting and requiring the same level of commitment from small businesses that we are requesting from the giant companies. So the thresholds that people have to cross to be in the green zone are different whether a company employs 1,000 employees or more, or they employ only about 10 or 20 or 50 people. So the key underlying principle is that those who are operating in the same conditions must commit to deliver the same promise. And we promise, on the other hand, that we will be fair and there will be no exceptions and there will be transparency and we will not allow corruption. And given that these are variables that govern everybody else, then these are the rules of the game, and we expect people to play by the rules of the game, and we have a realistic set of targets. If you are willing to participate in employing some Saudis and improve their skills and make them part of your cost, then we promise to continue renewing the work permits for your foreign workers and give you more of the same and encourage you to grow. If you insist that you would want to have access to our markets and our economic opportunities but don't want to engage in employing our nationals and help develop their skills, then we're sorry, we cannot continue to promise you, to give you the work permits to make use of this opportunity without taking your share of the costs.
Microphone number 4.
Dr. Suzanne Qureshi, King Abdulaziz University. What the ministry strategy for creating jobs for Saudi women?
I'm not sure I heard the question. Can you say it again?
What the ministry strategy for creating jobs for Saudi women?
For Saudi women, yes. Well, creating jobs is a complex challenge, and I cannot claim that it is going to be solved by the Ministry of Labor alone. The Ministry of Labor is one of the coordinator of activities, but to create jobs is an economic challenge that many more ministries and agencies are involved in. We in the Ministry of Labor claim that we have more say in the early stages of job creation in terms of substitution, when we make the opportunities limited or we give preference to Saudi workforce versus foreign workers. But creating jobs from scratch is a more complex task, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. In terms of substitution and replacing foreign workers by Saudis, we have introduced Nitakat as a general solution, but then we have started introducing specific initiatives, and one of them is this gender-specific initiative, for example, of restricting work to Saudi women in shops specializing in selling special women products like lingerie and cosmetics, etc. And that's the first step of a long list of additional restrictions and additional opportunities, if you like, because by creating a set of regulations that limit the possibilities of employment only to Saudis or only to Saudi women, we are creating a new economic condition that makes the employment of Saudi women either more economic or the only alternative available for employers. We continue to believe that the retail opportunity offers a tremendous additional potential for employing women. We have already established a regulation on employing women in factories and manufacturing units, and this has not been used effectively yet by a variety of potential employers. And I believe that we need to do better communication and better supporting programs, probably from HRDF, to make this a reality. A third regulation was announced about empowering teleworking and working from a distance, where I believe as well that women will have better opportunities of exploiting this, and the opportunities offered by this channel as well. We have a series of additional interventions that will be announced shortly by HRDF, in which we will be contributing to subsidizing the wages and as well the training costs of employing women in the private sector. The fact that now we have today over 400, almost 400,000 CVs of women available online. Currently, the access is not maybe as easy as it would like it to be, but we promise in a period not longer than 6 weeks, you will be able to access this in a world-class customer experience in which a search engine will help you have access to all those available job seekers data. That is going to be the first step of making it possible to employ more women. We are launching job placement centers that are dedicated to women, and more of them will be launched shortly. We hope that before the end of 2012, we will have more than 50 job centers dedicated to help counsel and advise women job seekers to find jobs, inshallah. Thank you.
Microphone number 1.
Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad Khoja. 2 keywords kept coming out in your presentation, education and training. But you haven't mentioned Ministry of Education. Aren't they your supplier? And if no, why?
Of course, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Higher Education are our key suppliers to the market. That is part of the given conditions that we have. Although we have a dialogue with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Higher Education on making the supply more relevant to the market need, but we see ourselves as responsible as well through TVTC and through additional training to augment and complement these programs with additional training needed by the market. In TVTC, we have tried to launch a series of strategic partnerships that are employer-led, as I have mentioned, in the TVTC reinvention program. And we would hope that we will have most of this additional training led, orchestrated, and structured by the employers to make sure that whatever additional training we do is going to be very sensitive and responsive to true market needs by the employers. It is only if we make these additional layer between the market and the supply adaptive and capable of sensing what the market needs and then adjusting the complementing and augmenting and additional training offered so that it covers areas that has not been met by the original programs delivered in the Ministry of Education or the Ministry of Higher Education. These are intermediate interventions that are needed until and when we have major additional changes in our educational programs in the universities and in the primary education to make it more specific to the needs in the market. So instead of really saying that there are problems and it will take time, we recognize the challenge there. We are working in relationship with our partners and our colleagues to make adjustment there, but not waiting for that to happen. We are introducing and launching interventions on the short term to complement and augment what is missing and to make the supply closer to the specs needed by the demand.
Question 2.
Marwan Al-Muraiti, I will ask in Arabic if you allow me. سؤالي عن برنامج النطاقات الذي نسأل الله أن يكتب له التوفيق، لكن لاحظنا أنه أو خليني أقول أن هذه وجهة نظري أنه في ظلم على العمالة الأجنبية في إحدى نطاقات، وهي أنه مثلا إذا كانت الشركة في النطاق الأحمر فمن الصلاحيات التي تمنع على صاحب العمل أن يجدد إقامات العمال أو يمنحهم الخروج والعودة. فالسؤال أنه ما ذنب العمالة الأجنبية؟ لماذا تعاقب هي ولا يعاقب صاحب العمل؟ شكرا.
شكرا لك. حقيقة الأصل في التعاقد مع العمالة الوافدة هي أن صاحب العمل يمنح ترخيص من الدولة ليستخدم عاملا وافدا ليعمل لمدة محددة. نحن لا نعطي تراخيص للإقامة الأبدية في المملكة العربية السعودية، نحن عقود محددة لعمالة مؤقتة تأتي للعمل. النظام يقول الآن في نطاقات أنه إذا انتهت هذه المدة، إذا انتهت الإقامة في نهايتها يريد صاحب العمل أن يجدد هذا الترخيص، نقول لصاحب العمل أنت لم تقوم بالوفاء بالتزاماتك نحو الدولة التي منحتك هذه الرخصة لهذا الاستخدام، وبالتالي الدولة لن تقوم بتجديد هذه الرخصة مرة أخرى. لكننا في الحقيقة أعتقد نحن بنسوي أفضل أسلوب ممكن التعامل فيه مع العامل الوافد الضيف، إنه نقول له وإن كان هذا الذي استخدمك وعملت معه وأنهيت فترتك التعاقدية معه لم يتمكن من التجديد، ولكنه من حقك الآن أن تبحث عن عمل آخر وقد يكون براتب أعلى في مؤسسة أخرى منافسة لصاحب هذا العمل. والآن الاتفاق إنه في خلال لدى العامل 3 شهور أخرى ليبحث عن عمل. في هذه الفترة إذا وجد أي جهة أخرى مستعدة أن تعطيه وظيفة يحق له أن ينتقل للعمل فيها بدون موافقة صاحب العمل الأصلي. في خلال الأسابيع القليلة القادمة سيتم الإعلان عن خدمة بإمكان كل عامل وافد قبل أن ينتهي عقده وقبل أن ينتهي رخصته وإقامته أن يرسل بالSMS رسالة نصية على الجوال فيها رقم الإقامة إلى رقم معروف، ويأتيه الرد بلغته، حتى إذا كانت لغته غير عربية وغير إنجليزية بلغته، يقول له أنت منشأتك حمراء، المنشأة التي تعمل فيها حمراء أو المنشأة صفراء، وبإمكانك الاتصال أما على رقم التليفون هذا أو على الموقع الإلكتروني هذا، ويمكن أن يتصل بموقع الاتصال ليأخذ معلومات عن سيرته الذاتية ويقوم بمساعدته في البحث عن وظيفة أخرى، بحيث أنه سنضع أسماء كل هؤلاء الذين في المنشآت الحمراء والصفراء سيكونوا عرضة للالتقاط وللاصطياد من قبل المنشآت الخضراء والفضية، فنقدم لهم قوائم بكل هذه الخبرات وكل هذه الكفاءات اللي موجودة، ويستطيع على الإنترنت على الأونلاين أن يقوم صاحب المنشأة الخضراء باستقطاب هؤلاء الكفاءات وتحويلهم إلى العمل لديه بدون موافقة أصحاب العمل الذين منشآتهم حمراء وصفراء. أنا أعتقد هذه المرونة وهذه التيسير وهذه السهولة ليس فيها ظلم على العامل في المنشأة الحمراء، في العكس فيها في الحقيقة فرصة للعامل في المنشأة الحمراء أن يعظم من دخله وأن يبحث عن في عشرات الآلاف من المنشآت الخضراء الأخرى أن يعمل في وظيفة جديدة.
We're left with time for one last question from microphone 4.
Hello. هند الفارس جمعية النهضة. شكرا على المحاضرة المفيدة. عندي سؤال. Are you worried that Saudization will go for the blue collar workers only with نطاقات؟ والسؤال الثاني، والله يعينك ويعين الجميع في finding jobs. Do you think with all these reforms that you created that you're going to have 5 million jobs available by 2020?
The first question about whether Nitakat in its current version is going to focus on making employers just recruit Saudis into blue-collar jobs or not. And the answer to your question is yes. In its current format, it may lead to this. But what I have announced more than once, that we already have started another initiative, and we call it the wage protection system. And this initiative is going to be launched formally in the next couple of months, actually. And this has been coordinated with SAMA, the central bank, and the banking system, and in which we will start enforcing that all employers would have to open bank accounts for all their employees. So we will be monitoring the salaries and the job bill for all those who are working. Nitakat 2.0, the next version, is going to be the challenge is Saudization of salaries and not of number of people. So it is not adequate to have 10% of your workforce as Saudi workers and you end up having all of them as security guards, but you probably have in that category 10% of the total salaries that you're paying have to be Saudis, and you'd have to, and we believe that will be a proxy for having a good distribution of different levels and different quality of jobs in the organization. As for the second question, whether we can deliver 5 million jobs or more by year 2020, to be honest, I cannot say that we can promise that. That will depend on a variety of interventions and programs, not only launched by the Ministry of Labor, but by other labor agencies, other government agencies, other private, major private enterprises. What we're committed to is that we will work as a team with all our partners in the government and in the private sector to make this a reality. It is not something that we would like to do. This is something that we must do, and we must work together to achieve it if we are going to continue to have the sort of economy and sort of social comfort that we have in the society. It is on the top of the agenda of all government ministers. We realize this is very important to our country. We have lots of good potential. We have lots of good conditions. We will be able to deliver it. I'm sure we will, inshallah.
Your Excellency, I believe we end this day of the Global Competitiveness Forum with your remarks with a level of optimism and enthusiasm about the potential that's associated with your strategy, largely as an outgrowth of your leadership. There are three things that I observe in the context of the last hour that I think is important and I think will be widely shared in the impressions of the folks in the room. One is deep appreciation for the enthusiasm of your approach. Two is deep recognition for the expansiveness of the vision. And third, most importantly, because as you know, I'm an American who has been spending his time watching CNN with politicians who are saying all things are possible, with the overlap being the null set. I have deep appreciation for your candor and transparency about both current reality and the difficulties that are going to be faced in the process of getting to where you want to be. So deep appreciation for you and your work. And again, a round of applause for Your Excellency.